What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue here with our 2023 predictions. The Louisville Cardinals are up next. Let's take a look at some of the other predictions here. I was actually surprised by the over/under, but we'll start with the FPI. They've got them at 6.9 and 5.2, so 7 and 5 roughly. A small chance, about a 10% chance to get to the ACC championship. Athlon also has them at 7 and 5, but look at the over/under. The over/under I saw at 8 and also at 8.5. Do you really think this team has a chance to go 9 and 3? I mean, that seems like a pretty high number there at the 8.5. You got a new head coach in Jeff Brom. Of course, this new era, a lot of excitement here for Louisville fans. And when you look at the roster turnover from last year, you start to say, this team's probably not going to be very good. But then when you look at what they added in the transfer portal, they really loaded up. This is one of the best transfer portal classes in all of college football. And I really like this Louisville team. I think they've added a lot of experienced players, a lot of talent to this roster. Jack Plummer at quarterback, probably going to be the guy, but they added like 2 or 3 other guys. So they have depth at the quarterback position. You look across the board, running backs look good, wide receivers look good, offensive line looks strong, defensive line looks strong, secondary looks strong. If there's a weakness, it's the linebacker position. That would be the one area where I'm a little bit concerned about this Louisville team. I mean, every team has their weakness, and that doesn't mean they're going to be bad, but that is the one spot where I would be a little concerned about this team and this defense. So we'll see how that plays out. But you look at everything they added in the transfer portal, the talent on this roster, plus a very, very nice schedule. You can see how this team actually could get to 9 and 3. There is absolutely a path for them. Let's take a look at that schedule. And you see here in the non-conference, they've got Murray State, they've got Indiana, they've got Notre Dame, and then, of course, Kentucky. And so you start off saying Notre Dame, Kentucky, the non-conference, this is a pretty tough schedule. But look at their ACC conference schedule. They don't play Clemson, and they don't play Florida State. So because their conference schedule is so easy, that's really how you could see them potentially having a really good year. And before I even saw the schedule, just looking at the team, I thought this team had a chance to be a surprise team in the ACC this year. And then you add in that schedule, this is a legitimate dark horse team to get to the ACC championship. I've talked about, of course, everyone thinks Clemson, Florida State are going to be the 2 teams more than likely in that conference championship game. But then you've got North Carolina, Louisville, and Miami. Those are the 3 dark horses. If there's a surprise team in this conference, I think it's going to be one of those 3 teams. And you can never count out Pittsburgh and NC State and some of these teams that are really consistent every year. But let's get into it here. We start with Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Weeknight game to start off the season. This will be a neutral site game, but it will be in Atlanta, so right there, close to Georgia Tech's campus, and it'll be a road game. Now, Louisville fans travel pretty well, and so I don't expect it to be like a true road game here, but it will be somewhat of a road game. Look at the 2 teams; they're fairly even. I think Louisville does have the better team here. I guess really not all that even. I think Louisville definitely has the better team, but the question mark for them is how will they play in their first game with a new coach, new staff, new scheme, all of that, a lot of new faces. I think they'll probably come out pretty slow against a Georgia Tech team that'll be really fired up here in the first game. So I expect it to be close. I think they may get behind in this game, come back from behind in the second half, and find a way to get the win, though. This team's just got too much talent to lose this game. I think Louisville wins. And then I think they beat Murray State as well. Then they get another neutral site game. This time they'll play Indiana in Indianapolis. But I think this game will be much more of one of those 50-50 type atmospheres. In fact, Louisville might actually have the home field advantage in this game. Indiana going to be a team that's near the bottom of the Big Ten again this year. I think there are some signs there if you look at Indiana to where they might actually be a little bit better this year. So I don't think this is going to be a blowout, but I do think Louisville will win fairly easily. I've got the Cardinals starting off 3-0. Then they'll play Boston College on September 23rd at home. Should be really their first big game at home. Should be a pretty good game. I think Boston College will be improved this year. They've also got a really manageable schedule. Louisville and Boston College both have very easy schedules in the ACC this year. But anyways, forget the schedule. Just looking at this matchup, Louisville's the better team. They're playing at home. No reason to pick against them. And I'd be really surprised if they're not 4-0. I feel pretty confident that this team will start 4-0. and maybe even be ranked in the top 25 at this point. Then they'll play NC State on the road September 29th. This will be a tough one. NC State's a team that's going to be solid. You know they are, but they've got a lot of question marks, a lot of new starters. I think this Louisville team is the better team, and even on the road, I think they can find a way to get it done. I've got Louisville beating NC State and getting to 5-0. Then they'll play Notre Dame at home on October the 7th. I think they've got a legitimate shot to win this game. It should be a good one. Going to be a tough matchup for sure. But again, I think Louisville has a shot in this one. I just think Notre Dame a little too physical. The run game, can Louisville's linebackers hold up against a really good run game for Notre Dame? They've also got a good offensive line. I think that's going to be the difference. The physicality from this Notre Dame team gets them the win, and that'll be Louisville's first loss. And then you get kind of the same story here with Pittsburgh. This game is on the road. Another team that knows how to run the football, physical at the line of scrimmage. Coming off of a loss, I think Louisville falls again. So I've got them losing 2 straight there to Notre Dame and Pittsburgh. Then they get a bye week before playing Duke. This should be a good matchup here. I talked about Louisville, Miami, and being dark horse teams, in North Carolina being the dark horse teams in the ACC. Don't forget Duke. I think Duke's right there with them in terms of how good they are. They have a tougher schedule, though. They've got a really tough schedule this year. So I think that could be why Duke really doesn't have much of a shot. But this should be a good matchup. Again, I think these teams are pretty even. Louisville is going to have a talent edge here in this one. And I think playing at home, it'll be enough. But I expect a close game, probably a 1-score game. But Louisville finds a way to get it done. Then you get Virginia Tech on November the 4th. Virginia Tech really not good at all last year. I think they're improved this year. How much, we'll see. I don't think it'll be enough to win this game, though. I think Louisville takes care of business at home here in this one. And then they'll get Virginia at home. Virginia may be the worst team in the ACC this year. So you get back-to-back pretty manageable games here for the month of November to be playing conference games. Both at home, Virginia Tech. I think they win both of them. So I feel pretty good about them being 8-2. Maybe they're 7-3 at this point. Maybe they beat Pittsburgh, though. Maybe they could even be 9-1. But you get Miami on November the 18th. This is a Miami team that I think is actually probably the 3rd most talented team in the ACC. Of course, that didn't mean much last year. And I expect them to be improved this year. I think they'll be a contender. And I think playing at home, they will find a way to get this done. So Miami, the better team here, but a very close margin. And this is another one. I think Louisville could win this game. And we're talking about getting to 9-3. You win this game, there's your 9th win. But I'm going to say they lose. And then they'll close things out with Kentucky at home. This is a rivalry game that has really went Kentucky's way as of late. I think 4 straight for the Wildcats. A pretty even matchup this year. The last 4 games have not really been all that close. I expect a much closer game this year. But I still think Kentucky is the better team, and I think they're going to be the better team at the line of scrimmage, the more physical team, and I think they get it done. But again, close this year, very close this year. Kentucky, though, still beats Louisville, and they get to 8-4. So, I'm pretty high on this team. You look at NC State, a game that could trip them up, potentially knock them down to 7-5. You look at wins potentially against Miami or even Pittsburgh, and you could see how a 9-3 record could absolutely happen. But 8-4, I think, is more likely, and that's where I'm going to put this team. Would love to get your thoughts. Give me your predictions on Louisville down in the comments below.